We are taught that the story of the battery begins in the 1800s, with these alternating copper and zinc discs dipped in a chemical solution. But archaeological evidence suggests that the same principles were being applied thousands of years earlier, long before the Industrial Age. The site of this discovery is the ancient city of Ctesiphon, located in modern-day Iraq. Among these mud brick ruins, researchers uncovered an artifact that seemed to belong to a much more modern era. If this object functioned as a power source, it would disrupt our current understanding of how technology evolved in the ancient world. On the surface, the object is unremarkable, just a small, plain clay jar. Inside, however, is a carefully fitted copper cylinder that fills the center of the vessel. Suspended inside that cylinder is an iron rod, positioned so it never makes direct contact with the copper. To maintain this separation, a layer of asphalt was used as an insulator, sealing the rod into the neck of the jar. Because the copper cylinder isn't watertight, any liquid poured into the jar would surround both metals. Traces of corrosion suggest the jar once held an acidic liquid, like vinegar. Since iron and copper have different electrical potentials, the vinegar acts as an electrolyte, triggering a chemical reaction that generates a flow of electrons. Replicas of this exact configuration have successfully produced a continuous charge of about 1 volt. The specific arrangement of these materials suggests a design intended to facilitate a chemical reaction. Even with a functioning battery, a mystery remains. What did a civilization without light bulbs do with a 1-volt charge? Long before the 19th century, humans were already experimenting with the effects of electricity, such as the ancient Greeks using live electric fish to treat pain. This has led some to suggest the battery was a tool for a primitive form of electrotherapy. Others look toward the temple, where technology was often used to create the appearance of the supernatural. Wiring a small battery to a bronze idol could create a distinct vibration or hum when touched by a worshiper. A person experiencing a physical shock or vibration in a sacred space would likely interpret the sensation as a divine presence. There is also a practical theory that local jewelers used the current for gilding, a process that uses electricity to coat base metals with a thin layer of gold. Whether used for healing or for manufacturing, these theories suggest that electricity may have been a specialized tool for the ancient elite. However, many experts argue that we are seeing a battery simply because we want to. There are no ancient texts or diagrams that mention electrical devices. Without written evidence, we have to consider a more mundane purpose for the jar. It is possible the jar was simply a scroll holder. In this scenario, a sacred text would be wrapped around the iron rod and tucked inside the copper tube for protection. We are left to choose between an accidental coincidence of chemistry or a hidden chapter of technological history. If this simple clay pot truly was a battery, it raises the question of what other technological secrets have been lost to the desert sands.